Welcome to section 1.2, video 1. I'm sure this will take at least 2 videos for this section, so let's just get right to work. We begin with number 1, which shows up like this: 2x to the fourth minus 5x squared plus 7x equals 14. Now there's really two ways, we're told to use the graphing utility to approximate real solutions and round to 2 decimal places. There's 2 ways to do this. Actually, I find the easier one is to put everything to one side and 0 on the other. So we get 2x to the fourth minus 5x squared plus 7x minus 14 equals 0. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the calculator and put that in to our graph. Clear out all previous problems, and then we're going to have 2x to the fourth minus 5x squared. Whoops. My graphing calculator is just a little bit different than some of your alls. So it's 2x to the fourth minus 5x squared plus 7x minus 14. And what we're actually doing is we're trying to find where does it equal 0. In other words, what are the zeros? So we see 1 there, we see 1 there, and we can pretty well assume that it's going to go continually in this direction and here. So all we really need to do is to find the zeros there. So second, calculate, and we calculate the zeros. I need to get to the left of the first one. I think I'm too far. Sometimes that happens. Need to watch carefully as that. See, there I'm slightly to the left, and then I need to go slightly to the right. So right there, and then guess. You see it's negative 2.31, and then I need to find this one over here as well. Finding solutions and finding zeros are in essence the same thing. I mean, we're saying exactly the same thing. So I need to find the other 0, and there I'm slightly to the left of it. And there I'm to the right of it, and then my guess is anywhere it wants to be. And this is 1.690, so the solution would be 1.69. So with that in mind, I can actually answer the question now. What are the zeros? Negative 2.31 and 1.69. Now this whole next group, actually examples 2 through 12, asks us to solve the equation, and this is manually, so there won't be any graphing calculators. It's just a manual plug and chug. So we get 4x plus 8 equals 0. This is linear, so that simply means solve for x. Get x all by itself. So subtract 8 from both sides, and then divide both sides by 4. We get that. Example number 3. 3x equals negative 16 plus 2x. Here we have x's on both sides, so we need to first off get x to one side. I'm going to go to the left side just because we always seem to like to put the variable over there. And so subtract 2x from both sides, and we get x equals negative 16. Continuing, Example number 4. 8x minus the quantity 7x minus 1 equals 2. First thing we have to do is distribute this negative sign around these parentheses. So that'd be 8x minus 7x plus 1 equals 2. Combining these two like terms, we get x plus 1 equals 2, and then subtracting 1 from both sides, we get x equals 1. Number 5. 5 times the quantity x plus 5 equals 6 times the quantity x minus 4. Distribute both sides here, the 5 and the 6, and we get 5x plus 25 equals 6x minus 24. Now I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides, so I get negative x plus 25 equals negative 24. I will subtract 25 from both sides, so we get negative x equals negative 49, and then divide both sides by negative 1, so that x equals 49. Example number 6. Negative 6x plus 1 plus 4x equals negative 2x plus 6. First thing, combine the like terms over here. So this would be negative 2x plus 1 equals negative 2x plus 6. And then add 2x to both sides, because we need to get the x's to the other side. And notice what happens, they cancel each other out, leaving 1 equals 6. Now what happens here, since we ended up with a false statement, the answer is no real solution. However, if this were a true statement, then we'd say, yes, any solution would work, or any number would work. And so that's where so in this case, the answer is no real solutions. Number 7 is x over 3 plus 1 equals x over 4 minus 1. Now here, since we have fractions and there's no variable in the denominators, then what we really want to do is get rid of those very first thing. How do we get rid of them? We get rid of them by multiplying by the least common denominator, which is 12. So multiplying this by 12, we get 4x. Multiplying this by 12, we get 12. Multiplying this by 12, we get 3x, and multiplying this by 12, we get 12 as well. Now I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides, which gives x plus 12 equals negative 12, and then subtract both sides by 12 to get rid of this. X will equal negative 24. Example number 8. X plus 5, the quantity, times the quantity x minus 1 equals the quantity x plus 1, the quantity squared. Now what we're going to have to do over here, we're going to have to FOIL this side, and then we're going to have to FOIL this side as well. The big problem with many students is you think this 2 means x squared plus 1 squared. That is not the case. You need to make sure that you FOIL this out. FOILing this, we get x squared plus 4x minus 5, and FOILing this side, we get x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now once again, we need to get all of everything to one side and go from there. So I can subtract x squared from both sides and get 4x minus 5 equals 2x plus 1. I can subtract 2x from both sides, so I get 2x minus 5 equals 1. I can add 5 to both sides. Then finally divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 3. Example number 9. 3 over x plus 9 over x equals 8. What's the least common denominator here? X. So multiply through everything by x. 3 over x times x is 3. 9 over x plus times x is 9. 8 times x is 8x. And so it becomes a pretty simple problem. 12 equals 8x, or dividing both sides by 8, x would equal 12/8, which simplifies to 3/2. Example number 10. X over 2x plus 2 equals 2x minus 3 over x plus 1 minus 2x over 4x plus 4. Now the first thing we have to do here is to determine, in essence, what is the least common denominator. And in order to do that, we're going to do some factoring of the denominators. So we begin, this becomes x, and then 2 times x plus 1. X plus 1 won't factor any further, so that's as good as that gets. But 4x plus 4, we can factor out a 4, leaving that. Now if we look at the common denominator, we need an x plus 1, and we need a 4. So the least common denominator is 4 times x plus 1. In order to get that here, we need to multiply the denominator by 2, but since we multiply the denominator by 2, we have to multiply the numerator by 2. So this becomes 2x. To get this to become the common denominator, we have to multiply by 4. And this already is the common denominator, so we don't have to do anything there. And then this becomes a relatively simple linear problem. First thing I will do is distribute this 4. So we get 2x equals 8x minus 12 minus 2x. Combine these two like terms there. 2x equals 6x minus 12. Subtract 6x from both sides. Makes negative 4x equals negative 12. And then divide both sides by negative 4. So x equals 3. We will continue the rest in the next video.